How you feeling about this game?
I just feel like there's too much volatility on both sides of the coin. Because for the Eagles, whenever you say something is a buy low spot, there is risk in that. Yeah. I don't want to bet on things like that. I want to bet on surefire things. So I'm going to go to the props world. Because it just feels like the numbers just don't support the Eagles this year. And I think one of the tougher things in betting is to take the team's name off the jersey and say, what do the numbers say about this team? And the numbers are not kind when it comes to this Eagles offense. And maybe they do right the ship tonight. Maybe it is a get-right spot against a team that they've beat up on in the past, winning 7 of their last 8 games against the Giants. But it's just not one of those things I want to bet on. Then you look at the Giants, and it feels like there is a ton of volatility with a team that's led by a couple of really young guys in Jaxson Dart and Cam Scatteraboo. We've seen their ceiling when they beat the Chargers and look amazing, and the rush attack was really effective. And then you see them against the Saints, who are not a good team, and they're turning the ball over a ton, and they lose that game. So it just feels like on both sides of the equation, these are two sides that I don't really want to trust.
Yeah, I kind of feel that way as well. I think what it comes down to on my end is, can the Eagles move the ball against the Giants? They should be able to, because the Giants, while they're very strong up front, aren't necessarily great against the run. At the same time, the Eagles have had plenty of chances through 5 weeks to show what they can do on offense. And what have they done? Like nothing. Like even against a poor defense, are we convinced that the Eagles can move the ball at a prolific pace? And one thing that I don't want to put my money on is, well, eventually they're going to. Like, yeah, they have the talent, but we haven't seen it. That's like the due theory. Like they're due. They're due. And, you know, sometimes that does come true, right? When you have a big sample size, you know, it's like the Phillies last night. They're due to actually start hitting some long balls, right? These guys are too good. They were due, and it came home. But in the NFL, and in most cases, I don't want to put my money on something that hasn't happened yet that should happen. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, it's not something I want to put my money on. I will say matchup-wise, it does feel like a good matchup for the Eagles if there were a get-right spot, because of what you mentioned, the Giants have not been good at stopping the run, giving up 5.3 yards per carry. And it feels like this is a very easy parallel to make. The fact that we've been waiting on the Eagles to break out, and the fact that we've been waiting for Saquon Barkley to break out. And he's going to be the big storyline tonight, of course, making his return to play the Giants, the team that he once played for. And it does feel like a revenge spot for him. But Saquon, man, his numbers have not been good this year, at least compared to what we saw last year. Somebody who's averaging just 3.2 yards per carry, only 267 yards total for the entirety of the season, only 3 touchdowns. So, Jenks, we have not seen the explosive runs from Saquon Barkley. His longest rush this year has been 17 yards. So maybe you say to yourself, okay, here's a buy low spot on a running back that was the best in the NFL last year. So the number's 81.5. That does feel low, but there is sabotage factors lurking. If this game gets out of hand, it feels like the Eagles are not going to wear him into the ground just because he has popped up on the injury report this week with some knee soreness. So I don't know. It just feels like I'm not going to be shocked if Saquon finally breaks out. And I do think the team is going to want to give him a chance to like prove it to the Giants once again. It's just, how many games of sample size do you need before you say, hey, maybe this is just what the Eagles offense is?
That's where I stand right now. That's how I feel. I feel like, look, until we see otherwise, this is who you are. They are still trying to figure things out, and I don't quite know why. It's really interesting where, you know, teams do evolve throughout the season. There's no question. Some teams get better, some teams get worse, and we could absolutely be talking about the Eagles in a few weeks and be saying, wow, that offense has really come alive. It just hasn't happened yet. Same thing with Saquon. I will say when it comes to Saquon, though, and I do think this is important to point out, is that I know he has not performed. I know it has been a really down year. But I absolutely don't believe the idea that, oh, all of a sudden, you know how it is in the NFL, you hit a wall, you take too many hits, your production drops. His production has dropped off a cliff, like just completely fallen. So he's not slowing down, he just hasn't produced at all. And that makes me think this is more of an issue with the Eagles' offense as a whole. And hasn't what we've seen sort of made that be the case? Like, no one is really being explosive here. Jalen Hurts hasn't had an amazing year. A.J. Brown is upset. He's been complaining publicly, now privately. He hasn't been amazing. Saquon hasn't either. Like, everyone on that offense is sort of struggling to produce at a high level. So I think the talent is still there for Saquon. It's just a matter of when or if we're going to see it. Maybe it'll be tonight, but I also feel like a lot of bettors are putting a little too much emphasis on the revenge factor. Production is production regardless of revenge.
Right, like that's like mentality goes a little bit in the NFL, but like at the end of the day, like I don't know, like storylines don't rule the games. Like talent and X's and O's really are the deciding factor. But everything on the Eagles offense, like it just feels like it's complementary football. When the passing game is working, it sets up the run game. When the run game is working, it sets up the pass game. And right now, neither of those are really working efficiently. So maybe if one gets going, maybe we'll see the other one perform tonight. But let's get into some bets because it feels like we don't really have a play on a side, or at least one that's making the card. So you mentioned this one. And I feel like this is going to be a popular one, especially for people who do same game parlays and you're looking for an anytime touchdown scorer. Right now at BetMGM, Jalen Hurts is minus 135 to score a touchdown. There is this play. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called the tush push. It's very effective, and it's where Jalen Hurts gets his tush into the end zone. I feel like based on that alone, like that play's unstoppable. It's not going to shock me if we see that tonight. And plus, I like betting on guys who have multiple ways that can get into the end zone, you know, whether it's Jalen Hurts on the tush push, or whether it's Jalen Hurts on a quarterback sneak, whether it's, you know, both of those things. I guess that's the only two options. But, like, that's my point, is that Jalen Hurts can score in multiple ways. So I think that's a great play. Jenks, is that going to make the card for you?
Maybe. I do like, and it's going in the wrong direction, but that's okay. I like that play a lot just because if you're talking about what's going to happen tonight, everyone's going to be on Saquon, and I get that. And yes, I think the Eagles will try to get him into the end zone. But at the end of the day, what is your number one priority? Your number one priority isn't to make sure Saquon is happy and getting some revenge against his former team. Your objective is to win the game. So if you get close down on the goal line, can't you see the Eagles running some sort of misdirection where they line up Saquon in the backfield and everyone thinks it's going to Barkley, and then Jalen Hurts is the one who takes it in? Like, I can absolutely see that. And also, this is a really cheap price compared to what it normally is. Like, early in the season or even at the end of last year, an anytime touchdown for Jalen Hurts was sitting at minus 200 at least. Like, at least. So this is a really cheap price on that. I also like Jaxson Dart under 180.5 passing yards. So who is Jaxson Dart going to throw to? Malik Neighbors is out for the season. Darius Slayton is out. So you've got Wan'Dale Robinson. Okay, you have Theo Johnson at tight end. You have Cam Scatterbo. So he'll toss it around, but does he really have a deep threat or someone who can pick up big chunks across the middle or even down the sideline? No. These are going to be short, dumpy passes against this Eagles defense. And this is a rookie anyway who's still sort of trying to figure things out. Yeah, he was good against the Chargers because, you know, the Giants defense kept putting the Giants on short fields. Against the Saints, we saw Jaxson Dart look like a rookie, turn over the football. So against this Eagles defense, which is still really good, I don't know if he gets this number. I know it's low, but I'm going to go under 180 and a hook for Jaxson Dart.